Yo, what's up, you guys? So, I've had this gold steel Kukri machete for a little while now. Just put an edge on it. As you can see, got some Langsky's oil to preserve that 1095 steel blade. I also have a K-bar Kukri machete. Now, the cold steel comes in at about $25. The K-bar comes in at about $50. Hopefully after this video you will be able to determine if that $25 price is worth it. Now I'm going to start with the sheaths of these knives. I really don't see these get enough attention. To start, the cold steel is a full nylon construction. You have a nylon webbed belt here. The stitching seems adequate enough. You got the two snapped closures, and then you have a hard plastic end piece here. And there's a little bit of wear on this knife, but nothing too crazy. One thing I do want to note is this strap being nylon. As you can see, it's fraying quite a bit. That's normal wear. Pretty much gonna have to take a lighter to that. Snaps still work perfectly fine, and if you wanted, you can actually get string through the ends of these snaps if that's important to you. The rest of the sheath, pretty good, holds up pretty nice. Of the two, it is a little bit lighter, and the machete overall is a little bit lighter, actually quite lighter than the K-bar. So if weight is an issue, cold steel takes the cake there. However, the K-bar comes out on top on some other reasons. Now, see, we have some more wear here, and that's pretty much it. Pretty nice sheath for a pretty nice machete. Now the K-bar, my first impressions of it were it's of significantly higher quality, and then after using it and getting a little bit of use, it is definitely higher quality. Leather for the most part. You do have some nylon on this face, then you have leather on the back here. You know, a lot of leather. This metal pivot here is actually very, very nice for allowing the machete to move freely and not get too uncomfortable. This is all closed and then stitched, unlike on the cold steel. Let's see there. I don't have as much use as I do on the cold steel one, but you know, these leather closures are definitely going to hold up a lot more. The snaps are definitely a little bit higher quality, and you have leather tabs here. So in the end of the sheath, you have this little plastic ring, which I've heard some people complain that it should be metal. There's no reason for that, and you don't need a ring at the end at all. However, it's a nice little addition, but plastic is absolutely fine. You know, you could hang the machete like that. You could do all kinds of stuff with this little plastic ring. It's in there quite solid. It's not going anywhere. And for weight purposes, I don't know why you'd even want metal. So that was a weird criticism that I have heard. Other than that, it's a little bit shorter. As you can see here, it's a little bit shorter. But the K-bar will hang down just a little bit. So factoring that in, the K-bar is going to be a little bit lower, and then their ends are going to be quite similar. K-bar is not much lower at all, as you can see. Let's move on to the knives. If you guys want to see any other angles or you have any questions about these sheaths, let me know. First off, the handles on these knives are not even really comparable. The Kukri, the cold steel handle, I'm sorry, is like a rubber or some kind of like polypropylene composite. It is gnarled, as you can see, and in wet conditions it does grip your hand fairly well. You do have a nice sized lanyard hole, get your shoelace or parachute cord in there or whatever, and it fills the hand quite nicely. I have medium sized hands and I have plenty of room to go on this one. However, the K-bar handle, if you are familiar with the comfort of a USMC knife by K-bar, it is, if anything, a little bit more comfortable. The leather is nice, but this rubber is very, very grippy, and that was the one criticism that I did have against the K-bar USMC knife. The handle was very comfortable, however not as grippy as rubber would be. This Kukri machete handle has solved that problem. Wide section up front to prevent your hand from slipping forward, does its job amazingly. And then the end here, this little hook is actually extremely nice, extremely functional. So you get a lanyard in here. When you're doing some real chopping with this knife, you can choke up on the back, and that little hook is really going to keep your hand in there, and you could really do some damage with this thing. On the cold steel, you can put a lanyard in, but there is no real hook keeping your hand on. It does work, but I definitely prefer the hooked handle on the K-bar here. This is definitely a much nicer feature when taking down small trees. Next, in terms of blade thickness, and I'm not going to go too crazy with specs because you guys can find this stuff online. The K-bar Kukri is significantly thicker, as you can see there in comparison. Almost double the thickness, but this cold steel has been through numerous destruction tests. I have a little bit of wear on it there. As you can see, it's oiled up, so it looks a little bit prettier than it really is. This is one hell of a knife, though. Now, the spine of the cold steel runs just about the same length until tip. Now, the K-bar, as you can see, you have this little unsharpened swedge up top here, about mid-spine, and then that is unsharpened, but still you get quite a nice thickness. The point on the K-bar out of box was absolutely amazing. The point on the cold steel was to be desired. The edge on the cold steel itself out of box was nothing spectacular. This is not the first time I've sharpened this knife, nor will it be the last, like using these out in the woods. However, out of box, I would not even buy this machete again if I did not have the intention to sharpen it. If you're looking for a machete like this to just go straight out in the woods, the cold steel, you may not get a nice edge. The bottom portion here, from about here all the way down to here, was completely rolled to one side. I had a huge bevel on one side, and the rest of the blade was okay. I mean, it was decent for a sharpened pry bar, but a brand new knife out of a box, I don't know. I kind of expected a little bit more, but I've actually grown to realize that cold steel will do that on their knives. They don't really give them the best edge out of box. K-bar, and with the experience of the sharpened USMC knife I had purchased, did not disappoint at all. this blade was razor sharp out of the box, and now it's seen a little bit of neglect and could probably use a little bit of touching up, yeah, but not an issue at all. It'll sharpen up real nice and good. Now they're both 1095 steel, K-bar being made in Taiwan. We have model number there, K-bar logo, and the cold steel I'm pretty sure is coming out of China, if I'm not mistaken, but it is not marked, and it does not have any markings or engravings on the blade. Big sticker that comes over here though. Take that off and it gets all weird. In terms of coatings, if you could see, the cold steel coating, it's held up fairly well. You know, I'm not really seeing too much rust or damage on that blade. That's really just the coating coming off, and the other side looks much nicer. However, the K-bar coating is held up a little bit nicer, and I'm really only seeing wear right at this edge here. Other than that, it's held up quite nicely. Now, we do have 2 different grinds on these knives. However, from batoning wood with both of them, the K-bar does absolutely fine, and the cold steel does great as well. One of the things about the cold steel that can possibly be as a benefit, I'll show you guys right here, is its overall length. You can see the handle extends just a little bit there. Okay, so our handles are pretty much lined up. Now, the cold steel is just a little bit longer of a knife, and the extra leverage when batoning could help you out a little bit. Other than that, we have a little bit of a different blade shape. The K-bar has more of a down sweep, really, which will help out, and it'll really bite any kind of wood that you're chopping a lot easier. I found that down sweep is really nice to have, and I was actually wishing that the cold steel had that design. If you're interested in getting one of these knives and you won't have any questions or want to see any other angles in comparison, let me know. I'll post a video about it. You know, my personal preference, if I had to choose one, would definitely be the K-bar. It feels, the fit and finish, it just overall feels like a better quality knife, and you get a little bit of added features at this price point. Even though it is double what the cold steel costs, I really truly believe that it's well worth it. The small hook here, the thickness of the blade, and that down sweep all aid in making this one a really good chopping machine. However, the cold steel is also a really good knife, very highly renowned, so definitely check it out. I also recommend this one if you're on a budget. However, you do need to realize that you cannot expect the sharpest edge out of box with this knife. It may come quite dull, or you may have a full couple inch section like I did where it was completely rolled. So expect to sharpen it. Alright, later you